Hey guys, my name is Everbuck and I'm the marketing intern for Synthesis.
Hey, I am Alex Norwood. I am the Quality Assurance Manager for Synthesis.
And today we're going to talk about the code sprint and what that will look like for the upcoming weeks. So to jump right in, the category for the code sprint is going to be gameplay.
Exactly, gameplay. Essentially, how can you create something that makes our simulator better emulate what an actual FRC game would be like? Put yourself behind the driver's station, score points, and essentially experience that same thrill.
Exactly, and we're so excited to announce this category, and we think you guys have a lot of options that you can create with this category. We've actually created some possible things that you can do just as a starting guide. By no means are these the only things that you guys can do. However, these are some options to get you guys off the tracks and get rolling. One of the ideas is scoreboard scoring, so that you can track how many points you're scoring. For example, if you're dropping off a gear or scoring fuel in the boiler, for Steamworks example, so that users can figure out how they're playing the game.
So making a PDF viewer, something integrated within Unity itself, essentially, can you pull up the rules for that year's game if you're not familiar with them? Can you create some type of how to score document for unique fields? Something that's wide and broad and enables the user to have that much needed help when they actually get to playing your game.
Yep, exactly. Another idea we have is defining a robot and or game piece scoring zone so that users know where they can score from and are able to play the game as such.
Another one would be team-based interactions. So essentially, can you have 3 robots on the red alliance, 3 robots on the blue alliance, and could those teams interact competitively with each other? Could points be scored up if through a different scoring system, implement that, and then find out who the winner is?
Another possible feature we came up with was being able to define game piece spawn locations with either a key press or a timer. An example of this would be possibly loading a gear in through the human player station for Steamworks so that robots could drive up and try to load the gear into their bot. The idea is, again, so that users have more interactions with game pieces.
Exactly. Can the user define what each period is in terms of length? Are they able to say the teleop period is only 15 seconds this game, but the autonomous period is actually 2 minutes? Or can they change that? Is it modular? Can we segment our simulator into these chunks of time, allowing the user to actually experience that?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the final idea we came up with was just like any other additions to driver practice mode, just leaving it broad open, just anything that you can add on would be great. And again, these suggestions are by no means the only things you can do, and you're welcome to do other things as long as they're in the category of gameplay. These are some ideas that we came up with just so that you guys could have some ideas of what we're sort of looking for in this. Now there are some criteria for the code sprint, of course. The first one, and probably the biggest one, is that the feature must be created by members of an either FRC or FTC team. So what that means is that students who are working on this must have A, been on an FRC or FTC team in the past year, or B, will be going into this year as a member of an FRC or FTC team. We're wanting the first community to be the ones really working on this and making these features, and so that's why we're having that criteria.
At least one of the students involved in the coding process must actually be a student. You have to have a lot of student involvement from the start of the process to the end of the process. The person making the submission should, if possible, also be a student.
Mm-hmm. And teams can have multiple submissions, but they can only win up to 1 prize. So, for example, a team can submit 3 different features, but they can only be awarded 1 possible prize.
Keep in mind that all submissions are due by 11:59 p.m. Sunday, August 20th, and that's this month. So you got to be considering all the different angles and then get that code out.
Exactly.
Get it finalized. Yeah.
Exactly. It's important to start soon. And keep in mind that that will be Pacific Standard Time, so it will be about 9 p.m. actually for East Coast teams. Yeah. In addition, all submissions must include original code. We want it to be your work, not necessarily someone else's.
And then all pull requests made, you have to have a description of the changes made or additions made in that iteration of your code. Essentially, with every submission, we want you guys to describe what it is you actually hope to accomplish so that we can better grade or judge the criteria in which you're trying to set out to do.
And finally, documentation will be considered in the judging process. We want users to also be able to understand what you are doing, and so we want documentation so that they can sort of understand where you're coming from.
Alright, so how to submit? We utilize a system called GitHub. Essentially, this allows users to submit what we call a pull request. Essentially, you can take our code currently off of our website and you can manipulate it however you want. And should you want that code to be what everyone gets, you'll do what's called a pull request, which we can go into depth in a later video on that. But essentially, you need to, after finishing your code, get onto the GitHub, and then there should be an option to request that we take your code, we analyze it, and then we finalize it, or we send it back for additional work.
Definitely. Finally, the most important aspect of this video, the prize money. So the grand prize for the code sprint will be $1,500. It'll be one grand prize. And there will be 2 runner-up prizes of $500. And again, each team can only win 1 prize. So there could be 3 teams that win these prizes.
Exactly. So a few features that we want you guys to try to avoid if possible. We're currently working on multiplayer integration. So if your solution involves a sense of multiplayer, you can definitely incorporate where you would want that to be, but don't necessarily feel obligated to develop out multiplayer by yourself. But of course, there's a lot of bigger features that we're trying to implement ourselves because we are paid interns after all. So we're going to try to implement as much as we can, but don't feel necessarily that you have to build out a huge, massive feature by any means. Same as could be said about mix and match robots. The idea that you can take different aspects of different robots, combine them together, and then essentially, without using CAD at all, implement those robots into the game.
Definitely, yeah. And finally, the features will be judged on a couple of things, but mostly we want features that are easy to integrate and helpful and usable for users. So again, we want features that are well done, but also easy to put into synthesis so that they can be added as soon as possible.
Lastly, don't forget to stay involved in the community. We like to hear about your guys' progress. You could, if possible, go on our website. You can check out our forums. We have an ideas station there where you can share your current developments, ask questions. Code is not necessarily the easiest thing, so we encourage you guys to reach out and we'll be more than happy to help you out with any stuck points you're at.
Without a doubt. Thank you guys for watching this video. We especially are really excited for this code sprint and we can't wait to see what you're able to create. Till then, see ya.
See ya.